morning and happy quarantine to everybody. Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Jeremy coming at you once again with Redtired Podcast. And oh, by the way, hey, we're doing something a little extra special. We've got both, count them, two of our good buddies. Big Bomber Bill Tenike, and of course, the one and only my best good buddy in the whole wide world, at least in South Carolina, Jacob Valdez. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
So, how about Bernie in 2020? I'm really pulling for him this time around. I really think he got a shot this year.
Yeah, he stepped down. Dad or died yesterday.
What? Wait,
It's okay.
He's out?
Yeah, he's done. Oh, he wants to keep his name on the ballot, but he's done.
God, why?
What's that gonna do?
I don't know, divide the party more than what it is already.
I'm helping.
So we've all but pretty much secured a Trump victory at this point.
Yeah.
Well, unless these Democrats slide something sneaky in these coronavirus or COVID-19 bills, like melon ballots. That's what they've been trying to do now since this whole thing has been happening. So let's see if the Democrats can pull off mail fraud while they're at it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Excuse me. The party that lost 33,000 emails wants to do mail-in voting.
Hey, sounds pretty good to me. All right, guys. So I don't see nothing wrong with this. All right.
This guy, yeah.
Wait a second. Where's everyone's mask at?
I'm at home. I don't know.
We're gonna die.
I'm on the campaign trail here. I don't have to go anywhere. I mean, this.
I'm gonna wear my pro mask outside.
Well, I mean, I don't know if you heard, but I heard that it doesn't affect Democrats or socialists. You know, coronavirus only affects Republicans and capitalists.
Well, thank God.
We dodged. You dodged a bullet on that one, right?
Well, actually, it seems that it spreads much faster in the metro areas. So you've got like your New Yorks and you know whatever those
in New York,
all those places that nobody cares about. We've got all those different locations where you know everybody is coming into contact with everybody on the regular, and it's pretty obvious. Like that's really what the quarantine was all about. It was like, hey, you in the metro areas, you're going to kill yourselves. Stay home.
Chill.
Yeah, this news network here called Post and Courier is saying that South Carolina's cases are up because Mount Pleasant emerges as a cesspool hotspot.
Oh, really? Cesspool?
Yeah. Yeah.
What? That's pretty. Wow.
These journalists are crazy.
Journalism is dead. I'm just going to say it, right? Just like that.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like that picture. Who posted that picture? Was it you, Jeremy, with the cameraman and the news lady wearing all mopped up gear and the cameraman wasn't wearing anything?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember sharing that meme.
And now the cameraman from ABC's Good Morning America is done. He's dead.
Oh, did he? He died?
No, not that guy in that picture, but the one from Good Morning.
You know, we actually did lose some people to the coronavirus, apparently. Joe Diffie. He was a country singer. I remember him coming out and being real big when I was, you know, like, yeah, this was like, God, I don't know, 20 years ago. So
40 years ago. Yeah.
Showing my age here.
40 years ago.
Yeah. 40 years ago. I wasn't, dude, I'm 38. I'm not that old. Am I 30? What year is 720? I'd be 38.
Well, I mean, who says I'm not that old? An old person. An old person says they're not old.
I know I'm old as but
Okay.
But so we did, but there are people that we've lost. It's like it really did happen. But there's also a lot of reports that people they're saying, well, you know, the coroner scans them or does the body, what's the when the autopsy? Yeah, when they do the autopsy to determine the cause of death, if they had the coronavirus, then that counts towards the cause of death. So total numbers of coronavirus deaths in general.
Oh, so they're inflated somewhat then.
Yeah, they're inflating a lot of stuff. So I mean, imagine if tomorrow I got hit by a car and I died in the hospital, right? Okay, tragedy, blah blah blah. Everything is
that'll be all right.
It's okay, but I happen to be carrying the coronavirus, and they swab my body and they say, well, yeah, he had the coronavirus. Count it.
That's a victory for us.
Another one up for the good guys.
Woo!
So what have y'all been doing to stay sane, keep your mind straight in your captivity? Imprisonment disguises hope.
Well, me and Jeremy were having this discussion. Like everybody's freaking out, like especially my little brother, my big brother. They're freaking out and just like having cabin fever. But this is just like another day for like me and Jeremy, and I imagine you too, Jacob. I mean, I take online classes. You know, the most outdoors I went was just to walk across the street to go to school.
Yeah, no, same. Nothing's changed. Well, I joke around with my wife. I'm like, they just missing out my retirement plan and my alone time.
My wife and kid have to stay around. Dang it! Like,
yeah, same here.
Yeah. My little brother, he's going insane. My
son's school was actually extended maybe like a week beyond when all the other schools shut down. My son's school lasted about another week, and then they shut them down.
They ASU, you can tell because it was about spring break, and then they said about halfway through spring break, they're like, "Hey guys," sent the email out. We're gonna need you to stay home for about another week, and I was like, "Baller, yeah, dude." Dope, I'm on it, man. And they're like, all right, you're gonna need to stay home till the end of the month. And I was like, this deal keeps getting better and better. And then they were just like, we're actually just gonna switch everything online. Yeah. And I was just like, no, I'm
where's
screwed.
the problem?
All your
here?
Assignments are due today.
Yeah,
I'm not seeing an issue because this is actually forcing our schools, our kids' schools to adapt. There are certain scenarios where you kids
and hold them accountable.
Go to school, and this just happens to be one of them. So now we're going to prepare for this in the future, and I think that the public schools, private schools, all of them, they're going to be like, you know what, we need to have this backup plan because things like this do happen.
Yeah,
and where I kind of see this going now, maybe not in the next 5 or 10 years, but at some point down the road, we're going to have like this massive influx of all school can be done online. You can already go to K through 12 online through several different services. So it only makes sense for the entire market to adapt and to adjust to this kind of thinking.
So my question is, do you think in the future when like a parent or someone, this is all blown over, a parent is looking at taking their kids to a private school, one of the factors they factor in to their decision of a private school is their ability to adapt in a situation like this? Would they be like, hey, can you switch your classes online with relatively ease so my kid doesn't really get affected if we're stuck inside? Do you think that'll be a factor in deciding a private school?
I think it will. I think it will in any school situation because a lot of people, they move to different locations based on which school that their child would go to. So they'll buy a house in a certain area of town based on which school that child will go to. So they'll make it happens here in Abilene. We have 2 different school districts, and people ask Ashley all the time when she's selling houses, like, well, which school district do we want to be in? And she, this is the one you want to be in. It's right over here.
That's one of the biggest things for most people.
It is.
Now, here's a question I do have. Most schools are now done for the year. I think almost about 90% of across America, most school districts are now agreeing on just postponing it until next year.
Yeah.
Now, do you think we should get a tax break for our property tax? Because we're not paying for the full year.
I absolutely think that people should get their money back, especially with because look, we've got this huge stimulus thing going on, right? And everybody's like, I'm going to get my $1,000 and they're going to go buy a new big screen TV, the 4K OLED and a new Xbox. and I'm like, don't do that. Don't do that. Spend it on something wise. Start a retirement account, start an investment account, do something intelligent.
Yeah. Buy some gold. I invest in gold.
Something worth
and not
buying.
The gold teeth.
But to get for the possibility of getting a refund, like, no. I don't think that's going to happen. I think it should happen, but I know it won't because we know how ineffective government is at managing funds as it is. And likewise, there's also another facet of it. These teachers, like in the public school system, especially the ones that we've been dealing with, like these teachers are going above and beyond to make sure they're getting the learning experience that they need. And I'm really impressed with how hard some of these teachers have been working. So I got to get
that's when you start figuring out who are the dirtbag teachers and who are the great ones.
Kind of the separating the boys from the men kind of thing. Like you find out the real good ones and the bad ones.
Yeah, they've absolutely stepped up in this because the adaptation that they've had to deal with is it's overwhelming, but it's amazing the way that they've adapted to all this. And Zoom has been great for our kids to keep in contact with a lot of the other kids in the classroom. Now, here's another idea because of the potential for this. I think that this could be one of those things that becomes a catalyst that leads towards, actually suppressing the bullying environment that you experience at school. And not everybody experiences this. Some people, some kids, they don't experience it. But you imagine a world where you have a kid that goes to school, he's afraid to go to school because of bullies or whatever, right? And the schools do the best they can to try to suppress that. But what if they took this a step further and they said, well, if there's a kid who's dealing with this kind of a bullying environment, well, we still have the online curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. You could actually eliminate the bullying factor.
You could, yeah. But I think bullying is one of those things that's just it's gonna find a way. Just like violence in mankind, it's just gonna find a way.
Yeah, there will always be a way. Internet trolls and what have you.
Cyberbullying and stuff.
But you eliminate a lot. Of the risk.
Yeah, you eliminate one avenue of approach for them to.
It's crazy. Kind of change subjects here, but there was
we don't segue
now, even on Elder Scrolls Online, this MMORPG that I've been playing lately, that there's a lot of trolling increased because of this. So I think it's not suppressed as much. I think it's now these bullies or these trollers are finding another outlet. Yeah.
But it's possible.
I was actually thinking about that too, just today. Well, actually, no, never mind. Continue what you're saying. That's dumb. Never mind. Y'all can keep talking now.
Was it dumb, or did you just lose track of your thought?
Lost track of my thought. Just go.
Okay. So,
I did witness a marriage on ESO because they couldn't get married. Their wedding plans got ruined because of COVID-19. So some people got a couple of their friends that they game with on Elder Scrolls Online, and they went inside a church in this MMORPG world and got married there. Kind of like a make-believe. They kind of
I've seen that a lot too. Yeah, I've seen that in Minecraft. Some kids couldn't graduate or something, so they did it in Minecraft. They had a birthday party on Animal Island or whatever. Some big
Animal Crossing.
Yeah, and Blizzard has announced that there are like Minecraft and all these other ones, these platforms that they started charging a subscription base. It's all free now during this time because people are.
There's a lot of companies that have actually stepped up and done that, where they're making things free. In fact, one of my favorite things, and Jacob, I know you're going to hate this because you're all about the film schools and theaters and all that stuff, but one of the favorite things that I've had here recently is Disney has been just releasing all of their new releases straight.
Yeah, they're skipping the movie theaters. And you know what sucks? I had a discussion with this with my wife a year ago or two.
Yeah,
saying that I think this is the future. I was like, they should make a platform that you have to pay a premium price, because it's not going to be free because you're competing against the movie theaters and the box office. That's not going to be an easy battle. It's been going on since the early 1910s, 1920s, since silent film. So box office has always been an issue, but I think this is a way now that companies are being like, really don't need the box office.
No, you don't.
Yeah. If you look on Netflix, they've produced their own movies and.
No, but that I understand. But like the MCU movies, the Marvel Cinematic Universe,
you're talking
the big
about
blockbusters. They're kind of understanding now. Like, holy crap, we really don't need it. Some other films that just went straight to that the Apple was trying to release on movie theaters, they went straight to Apple TV Plus. Same thing with because I read all these articles from my film school. Everything by South by Southwest for their screening is now on Amazon Prime.
It makes perfect sense. This is the world we live in. It's you've got the instant access to just about everything. The weird thing is this has brought people closer together. You look at what they've done with Zoom and Skype and all these other different platforms that you can just video conference with people that you haven't talked to in a while. Hell, we do it all the time. That's what we use to podcast because the audio quality comes through great. Video quality is okay. It's not amazing.
It's all right.
It's all right. But that's the direction we're going, is in this on-demand world. You have the option to basically get whatever you want almost instantly. I mean, even Amazon Prime is figuring out one-day shipping. Like, that's amazing.
And I know Amazon has taken a small hit because of the spread. They have to, on some certain Prime items, they're a little bit longer. but I'd
Yeah.
rather that spend a little time, another day or two waiting.
Well, they've
make sure my
switched.
product comes.
They've switched over to essential goods and you know, like food. Like Amazon
Mhm.
Pantry is huge now because nobody wants to go to the grocery store because they're afraid that somebody might cough on you or something. So
No, yeah, and then also like it's so hard now, especially with us, you know, with our son, you know, putting him in the car, and he's more of a risk too now, you know, little ones, because they just don't understand not to touch anything. They want to touch everything.
yep.
So there's sometimes I'm like, you know what, we need milk. Let's just get it on Amazon Prime or now, whatever.
Yeah.
So it'll come
Because
in
it's hard to
within an hour
keep
or
kids
two.
from doing weird things like licking banisters and stuff like that. They just
This is why I don't have kids. This is why I don't have a girlfriend or
because
anything, or
you
family.
that's not why. It's because you keep licking banisters.
Yeah, that's right.
So one question I would like to ask you, just to kind of get a different aspect of this whole quarantine life, it's been kind of rough for me with a toddler, especially, you know, having him here and trying to keep him entertained. And that's why I haven't been doing podcasts in a while, because it's just so hard to try
Find
to
that sweet
contain
spot.
him. And and then not contain him because he's not a prisoner, you know, and try not to get after him as much, but it's not his fault, you know. But Jeremy, for your girls at that preteen and teenage years, how is it for you in adjusting your house now and having them there?
It actually hasn't been much of a change. See,
Yeah.
years ago, we started this thing with our kids where we just basically explained to them, like, we're not your source of entertainment. Like, if you want to be entertained, you need to figure it out. You need to find something to do. You need to find a movie to watch. You need to do a puzzle, do something like, don't tell me you're bored, because I'll find something for you to do and you won't like it. So,
Yeah.
So years ago, I actually made up what we call the I'm bored jar. And I just took a mason jar and I put all these different activities, good, bad, in between. You know, it might be something as fun as going out and chalking around on the sidewalk, and it might be something, you know, not so fun like doing the dishes. And so if they get bored, they know that they can go pull something out of the board jar, and then they got to do it. So boredom isn't really been an issue. The younger one is probably having a little bit of withdrawal because she's more social, like her mom. And let's just say she's been really trying to find things to do because she hates being isolated. I'm like, dude, we pay for this house. You might as well enjoy it.
It's a nice house.
It's
So
okay.
what are the biggest challenges you have in continuing their education though?
There hasn't been any really, because like
Yeah.
I said, the teachers are doing such a great job of making sure that the curriculum and everything is available online. And it's actually pushing our girls into that realm where they have to learn how to use computers and learn how to interact with the digital world. And you know, that's a good and a bad. There's ups and downs to interacting in the digital world, but the fact is that's where our world's at, and we need to go with it. So they get it. They work with the system, and they're adapting to it, and doing their homework online and submitting their homework online. It's becoming a real thing for them. So adaptation for kids, you know, preteens, they've been doing really good. It's pretty
Mhm.
easy for them. You know, a lot of their assignments are things like you have like
Here's a book, find Waldo. No, I'm just joking.
Good luck.
there's a message boards and things like that you have to do when you go to online schools. So what they've been doing is, rather than message boards, because you know the kids haven't been taught to type yet, is they're doing video responses. So you just take a video of yourself and then respond according to somebody else's video on the topic. And so it's a different form of interaction, but it's good.
Wow. That's
Bill, what about
interesting.
your kids?
Huh?
What about your kids?
Oh, yeah. You want to see one? Let's go real great for him. Get that right, little guy. Yeah. He's a good kid.
Yeah. You're going to have to crack him open here pretty soon, huh?
Oh, you want me to crack it open? All right, let me get a bottle open.
It doesn't take much to convince you, does it?
Yeah, you
No, it
got me
doesn't.
into it again.
So, so what's funny, you know, I want to go back to the Bernie thing here for a minute, since we talked about it earlier, and I'm showing my support for Bernie.
Bernie, feel the burn.
Go, Bernie, go.
Yeah.
Since Bernie dropped out, something that was really humorous to me was the stock market rose right after
Yeah, that
it
was
was
funny.
a 3% gain almost immediately. I was like,
It's crazy.
no, that makes sense.
So can just for not for me but other people that may not understand, can you put that in dollar signs, like dollar numbers, like 3% in the stock market? How can that accumulate?
That's so hard.
So okay, so it's
3% of say the
not a definitive answer. It's just a.
Well, so we'll see. I wish I knew the exact moment that Bernie did drop out, but let's take a look at the S&P real quick. The S&P, let's see, yesterday was trading around 268, 270, somewhere in there. Today, the S&P, as of right now, it's at 280. This is the SPY, which is an ETF, but anybody who understands stocks knows what I just said. But
Okay.
basically, the S&P gained 10 points, or the SPY gained 10 points overnight, which is a pretty big jump. I think the market reflects, current events and fair pricing and whatnot. And when you understand all that stuff, it just kind of comes together and it meshes and it makes sense. So when Bernie dropped out, all the investors went, well, we dodged that bullet, now we just got to get around this coronavirus and Joe Biden thing. Because see, Joe Biden is business as usual. That's why it's almost a guaranteed victory for Donald Trump. The DNC has learned absolutely nothing from 2016.
Hey, I think Joe Biden has a really great shot.
Dude, have you heard him? He put out a podcast. Did you if you go, you can look this up. I kid you not. He put out a podcast and it is so heavily edited because the guy stammers and stutters whenever he's on live TV or anything like that. It doesn't make a lick of sense. But then you go and you hear 5 minutes from the podcast and he's talking like he's 40 years younger. It's like he's clear as day. It is heavily edited. Edited.
You told me that, and like I saw your you posted on Facebook, and I saw that, and I was like, what? And you're like, it's heavily edited. And I was just like, as soon as you said that, all I'm picturing is Joe Biden standing there, and it's like people cut out so much of it, they cut it down by word. So it's like, I am a great guy. and it's so choppy.
That's exactly what's going on. They cut out all the stammering, all of the Carol was back in the 1930s, and she walked down to get a loaf of bread, and I forget what street corner it was on. Maybe it was Maple or Brownwood. I can't remember. Joe, nobody cares. It doesn't matter what Carol was doing in the 1930s. Let's talk about today.
I can just imagine a reporter being like, who's Carol?
Well, here, check this out. I want you to remember this guy who's been on TV a lot more, not just as much as Trump, is the New York governor. And I think he's going to be that dude.
Ooh.
So this guy, I think what he's doing is playing chess right now. And I think what's going to happen is he's going to run for president for the next, not this term, but the next following after the next 4 years.
As soon as you brought that up, I thought that too. I was like,
I actually agree with that. I think it's a little bit different. I think what they're going to do is they're going to try and broker the convention and take the nomination away from Biden and be like, hey, Andy, you want this? We need somebody who's not an idiot.
Well, it makes, I'm not a political genius, but in my understanding, people tend to like heroes and like these people. So, right now you got the mayor of New York. He's always posting these daily updates, and he's like, we're doing this, we got this, and so he's essentially putting his face on all this good stuff that they're doing, all these resources coming in and all this stuff he's putting his face on. So they're like, the mayor, yeah, and then they're like, wow, well, he really did a lot for New York. And he's like, guess what I can do for America now?
Yeah,
he wasn't the mayor, he's the governor.
Oh, he's the governor. Oh,
yeah, he's the governor.
I thought it was the mayor. I'm sorry. It
just
shows you how much I pay attention to it. But
it all runs together when you're up in New York City, state, and federal government. They're all the same, really. When you draw they're all garbage. But he's the governor.
Yeah, but I think what he's doing, he's playing his media right into his hands, thinking that his city is the one that you need to watch for. And the funny thing is that you don't see as many governors from all across 50 states as much as he is on TV.
Isn't New Orleans getting hit pretty big right now? And I haven't seen anything from them.
Nobody's even talked about New Orleans since Katrina.
Yeah. I thought, Mr. President, what are your thoughts on Hurricane Katrina? We'll bring her to justice.
Who's now the other one that's been on the news lately is Gavin Newsom. And I think it was Gavin that actually said something. Was it? No, maybe it was Cuomo. I can't remember. It was Gavin Newsom or Andrew Cuomo that actually had given a little bit of credit towards Trump. And you didn't see that in the media at all. But because they were basically saying like, no, he's doing like what we would be doing in the same situation. Like, because they're looking at the big picture here. Like, people's lives are more important than all the other garbage. Like, this is important stuff. So we need to pay attention to this. And so they did give Trump, to their credit, they gave Trump credit where credit was due.
Whoa, really?
Really?
They actually applauded him for doing his job and doing actually not bad of a job.
Yeah, I don't really understand exactly. Like, I didn't dive real deep into it, but they gave him credit. They're like, he's doing great things. Like, back off. Like, leave the guy alone. Like, he's helping us.
I haven't seen any. I mean, again, I'm not a big political guy, but I haven't seen any issues where like it's like anything bad. I mean, he's pretty much addressing the big issues, and he's like, we just need to get more supplies to them, and I'm going to do everything in my power to get more supplies to the first responders.
Mm-hmm. This should be an eye opener to everybody in America, especially companies, that we should not rely on China as much as we have been for these past few decades.
That's a good point. That's wow. I never thought, because I was thinking when they were saying how much was coming from China, and like they were like, well, we can't get the necessary supplies from China. I was like, wow, we really do have a lot. Or like, I knew we did, but I didn't think it was this big, this large of amount of necessities.
Oh, dude, it was like almost 80% for a while.
And I just remember hearing that on the news.
I found out that I bought these organic garlic from the store, and they come in a sealed like little net, whatever. And I read the package. I was like waiting in line, and it said imported from China.
Yep. And there's a lot of that takes place. A lot of breakfast meats like sausages made by like Eckrich and I forget all the different brands. They're processed in China. But the label will say that the animals were raised here in the United States, but it won't say is they're exported out to China, processed, and then imported back. And I'm like, we have a real problem in this country where it's cheaper to export things and then have them processed that far overseas and then brought back. And if you want to get off of this China train, if you will, like, you're going to have to start buying products that were made in America. And oh, by the way, if you want people to buy your American products, you're going to have to get these, this is not going to be a popular opinion, but you're going to have to get these unions out of the way.
That and regulation.
The regulation needs to be reduced, removed. Absolutely. And you need to take a lot of the power of those unions away because they're crushing our economy.
So when this is all over, I mean, you guys have a bigger footprint in the economy and stock and stuff like that and all that stuff than I do. Do y'all see whenever all this is done and over, we're back drinking at bars and partying all night and doing, all that good jazz? Do you see a lot more jobs starting to open up because people are like, hey, we took a big hit?
Not the same jobs. So the one thing my wife and I talked about this morning is that a lot of people are going to realize that they're good cooks. They are, they can make it just as good quality as food as any restaurant. Same with bars. Like, oh my God, I have a greater time drinking at home, and man, look how much money I have left in the bank. So this is going to be an eye opener, and I don't think businesses are going to operate the same, especially now that depending on how the election goes, eventually a Democrat's going to find itself in office, either in local or national level. And you're going to find regulations that are going to probably be like, all right, marshals, fire marshals, limit the restaurants because of coronavirus now. They're going to limit, like, okay, instead of 100, we're going to reduce that to 60. So that's going to hurt the restaurant industry. Same with now with food. They're going to find another level of regulation to put on them. And so here is this is going to be the time for either companies are going to fold, or they're going to be like really hire more thinkers, or they're going to start doing some more critical thinking and how to evolve their company to overcome some challenges. I don't think America will never go back to the same. You can picture all that drinking at the bar, throw that out the window. That's never coming back. The America that we had 4 weeks ago is not coming back. Now it will come back differently though.
Yeah.
And bars are going to operate different now too. You're going to have a fire marshal that's going to go in there and be like, all right, to minimize COVID-19 again, we're going to limit your population inside the building from 130 to now 60.
Okay, it's an interesting opinion. But will people? I don't know. Will people kind of take like a hey WTF to more regulations and stuff like that? Like, hey, you're infringing. Will people be like, hey, you're infringing on my right to go out and have a drink with my friends? And
No,
now,
because that your rights are always infringed. They're just hidden in ordinances.
that's a good point too.
I don't know. I can see some of that happening, but likewise, we're creatures of habit. We being human beings, we're creatures of habit, and man, I think if anything, we've gotten so comfortable,
Complacent.
No, not even complacent, but comfortable, because we live a very lavish lifestyle compared to the rest of the world.
Oh yeah.
And when you have a lifestyle where everything is easy, I'm sorry, whether you like it or not, you have it easy in this country. I don't care if you're the poorest of the poor. You've still got it easier in this country than you do in 95% of the world. Fight me. You do. And so if you look at that side of it, people want to go back to what they know is comfortable, and they're going to go right back to their old ways, old habits.
Change is
and
hard.
You're right, Jeremy. You hit that nail right on the dot. We are comfortable. One thing that a lot of people don't understand, why the poor, especially people like, I hate to use this as an example, for like Elon Musk, grew up in South Africa. The crazy thing is that there is no safety net in majority of these countries that we do. We have welfare, we have Medicare, we have Medicaid, we got this and that. We have something that will catch you when you reach that, before you reach that rock bottom. But in other countries, the reason why China, all these other billionaires, I think U.S. only holds 10% billionaires. What else in the world? Most billionaires are outside our country. And the thing is that there's no safety net for them. So that pushes their drive to become more successful. As in us, we're like, you know what? If I lived and die on this podcast, there's, the laziness of like someone else. I know me, I would try to push myself as much as possible. But like, if this was my livelihood, but you're going to have someone like, but I got my unemployment check coming up next week and I'm going to do something else instead of just figuring another way how to get my podcast.
Yeah. There's literally people that will sit there and, they'll collect welfare because it's worth more to them. I got a buddy that works as a plumber, and they're trying to hire at the company. And what's funny about it is at this company, they can't hire anybody. They can't find anybody who wants to work. All the applications, that are coming in, everybody that's applying for the job, they're saying, well, I don't actually want the job. I just have to put applications out there so that I can stay on unemployment. For plumbers make great money.
Dude, and that's another thing. Those blue collar jobs, they are the future. One thing I've read by an article by Michio Kaku, a theoretical physicist, and one thing he brought up, and they asked him about artificial intelligence and how, artificial intelligence are taking these jobs. And he's like, dude, you could quote me on this. It will take 1,000 years, the artificial intelligence, to learn plumbing, to learn electrician, to learn the simple blue collar jobs that everyone else is forgetting about, because everybody wants to go tech, everyone wants to go legal, everybody wants to do customer service and this and that. All the jobs that people are applying for now, that are trying to rush for that easy job, will easily be replaced within 50 years by a computer.
Yep. All right.
Matter of fact, there's a program right now that obsoletes paralegals. A lot of these people are not understanding that these blue collar jobs that we always frown on, plumbing, electrician, carpenting, anything when it comes to what built America, those are going to be the jobs that are going to be the most and highest paying and highest demanding. Even now, journeymen start at $20-something an hour, once you get that journeyman license. And it only takes you, I don't know, in the state of Texas, I think it was 2 to 3 years of training and a test, under a journeyman.
Well, and what's weird is like, why do we frown on these kinds of things?
I don't know. Like, I think it's a good job.
It's a great job. It's a great way to make a living. I know a couple of plumbers.
Like, if I had to work and my retirement stopped tomorrow, I'd be like, I'm going to go plumber, because I know I have the patience and and the discipline to stay in it until I'm licensed, and that's where the big money is. And shoot, if I even want to go further, get a master's license, I could be pulling permits, dude. That's where the real money is.
Yeah, there's a lot of money to be made in those kinds of fields. Plumbing, electrician. I know electricians. I know plumbers. Like I know a lot of blue collar guys that make
and if you stick to it, Jeremy, and you're really like heavy into it, and then not just Jeremy, everyone who's listening, 7 years, you could turn that job to a 6-figure job.
It doesn't take 7 years, even not in Texas.
Yeah,
it
six
just
figures.
takes a couple of licenses. No big deal.
Mm-hmm. And if you want to be like, you know what, I want to be doing more HVAC, boom, you know.
Yeah,
Texas HVAC is a booming job, and right now I don't see no artificial intelligence or no computer to replace that job anytime soon.
I don't think that's possible. It would be amazing if it was, but I just don't think it's possible. But there's so many different things. I mean, there's so many ways to make money, and this is the thing. This is something we need to talk about, because here's something that drives me absolutely insane. Is there's so much panic in the market right now because everybody's afraid because they're not working. There's a lot of people that, they've gotten laid off, they've gotten furloughed, they've gotten whatever. They're not working, so they're scared to death because they don't have any money saved. There's no money in the bank. What have we been talking about for what, a year at least? Save some freaking money in your bank account. Put 3 to 6 months worth of expenses in the bank, because stupid things happen. And don't tell me you can't do it because you live paycheck to paycheck, because that's just a cop-out. That's BS. Anybody can save money.
Yep. Pay yourself first, man, if you live in check by check.
Yeah. If you went to Applebee's in the last month and you didn't put any money in your savings account, then I don't want to hear the sob story.
Yeah, I've done that before where I've been like, things have gotten kind of like I didn't carry the 2 or something, and I've been like, well, you know what? No beer. Meat and ramen for the rest of the month, and I'm drinking water from the tap.
And there's there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's kind of why I'm at peace, is because I had money saved up. I wasn't worried about the economic crash that I knew was coming, because it comes every 10 to 20 years. There's always a pullback in the market, always. And
yesterday I went to the doctor. We had to go to the pharmacy, found out TRICARE wasn't covering a certain medication that my son needed. And she was like, well, it's a crisis right now. I'm going to try to lower the price. And I was like, ma'am, I don't care what the price is. I was prepared for a moment like this. I am not hurting. I get paid regardless either way. And if I didn't get paid, I'm getting this medicine for my son. I don't care how much it is, And family come. This is why I save up, and take care of things, And another thing is that I want to add on to saving up. If you're hurting and you're jobless right now and you're listening to us, there's companies out there, that are hiring still, that need help because they're so overwhelmed. Like
I know
HVAC.
a place you can get a job as a plumber
right back
today.
to HVAC. HVAC took 2 days to get to my house because that's how overwhelmed they were. And I asked the guy, he's like, what's taking? He's like, dude, we don't have enough workers to cover down everything right now.
People don't want to work. It's weird. It's so weird. You don't want to work? You don't want an income?
Those lazy, good for nothing jabronis.
Dude, I'll be picking up trash tomorrow if my paycheck stopped coming.
And you know what's ironic about the whole thing is like, here you've got 3 guys that are sitting here. We're all telling you, like, go get a job, go to work, go do something. None of us work. We've all got our own sources of income already taken care of.
I think you guys hit very good points. I think a lot of people don't want to work, but I think it's just a job that people don't want to do. Like, I think people sometimes are just like, oh, what kind of cool people, did plumbing or anything. And one of the things that kind of shed some light on it was an episode of King of the Hill that had Johnny Knoxville on it. And Hank Hill's son had become friends with a guy who vacuumed up poop out of the park. And Hank Hill was like, no, that's weird. Why is that a job? No, that's weird. And, the kid was like, he's a fun guy. He's teaching me a lesson about business. And Hank Hill's like, no. And Hank Hill goes to the guy's house and he's like, oh my God, this is a big house. And Johnny Knoxville's character is like, yeah. He goes, how did you get this? My job, pooper scooper or something like that. Something like that, pooper sucker. And he just essentially rides around a 4-wheeler and just sucks up poop out of the parks. And he goes, nobody wants to do it. He goes, nobody wants to do it. I do the job no one wants to do, and I get all this. I make all this money. And Hank Hill was like, oh my God, like this is like, he's like, and I think he was like, Johnny, not, the guy was even like, yeah, I only have a high school diploma. I never went to any business class or anything. I just saw a job someone didn't want to do, and I did it, and I'm just making bank off of it.
Yeah, and that's the world. That's the reality of the world we live in. It's like, you know, I don't hate on anybody for working at Walmart or McDonald's or whatever. Like that's a great place to start, but don't just like avoid the mindset that you're going to stay there and work your way up the ladder.
To settle. Yeah,
because you're just settling. Like
that
even
was one reason I had to quit.
Full manager, really, okay, I'm a manager at McDonald's. I'm making $40,000 a year. Like, dude, that's not that much. You can do better. Like you have the ability and the skills now to manage a full-blown restaurant. Go manage a full-blown restaurant, not just a McDonald's, but like a real deal restaurant. You can do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing I would like to bring up though, too, is that, you know, you don't have to find a job to make money. This is a perfect time to become an entrepreneur and find out what markets were hurt the most and figuring out how to capitalize on it. You know, if I was worried about money, that would be the one thing I could be thinking of. Like and especially if I had equity and liquid holding, and I'm holding on to it, dude, I'd be like, man, I just found out, all 160 something restaurants of Logan Steakhouse is done for. So I know they're going to be selling their properties at a prime. Let's see if I can make something out of it. You know,
there's a lot of people in the the gig economy, the food delivery guys. They're making bank right now because everybody's like, yeah, I'm not going out. So the restaurants have adapted. You know, the mom and pop restaurants have adapted. They're like, all right, well, let's get on board with these. Like, Bill, you guys have San Angelo to go. And then there's Grubhub, and, you know, there's all these different ways to get food delivered to people. And you're still supporting your local mom and pop shops. Yeah, they've adapted. You can't eat in, but they can still prepare the food and get it to you. And those delivery drivers, they're out there, and, you know, I don't know that they'd be considered essential, but they're out there making bank right now because they're willing to do the job that most people are like,
I don't want to do that.
Yeah, especially like an app like DoorDash, when they secretly throw the tip in there without you knowing, unless you really look into it.
Yeah, there you go. DoorDash is another one. And there's money to be made, and people are just like, it doesn't take that much innovation to make money. It doesn't.
No. Yeah.
You couldn't even go to old people's house and put it on your neighborhood app like, hey, I know you're more fragile from getting ill or this COVID-19. I would be happy to take your dog for a walk for a certain amount of money.
Now, that being said, if you're one of those guys that's hoarding hand sanitizer and toilet paper and then charging other people or selling it for a premium or something like that, like, dude, that's unethical. Come on.
Yeah, no, there's a way to doing right business and still make money out of it.
Yeah, providing people with something that they need, a tangible service that satisfies the criteria. Like, because everybody, you know, I wouldn't have a problem throwing an extra, you know, a few bucks at a delivery driver who brought me my freaking Subway or whatever. No big
Especially
deal.
in these dangerous and dark times.
Yeah, I mean,
just comes at the door, knocks at the door, is clearing his sectors. Package is delivered. We're out. Yeah.
So, guys, what have y'all been doing to get time pass by? I know, Jeremy, you have to cut back on the video taking, but what have you been doing to stay busy?
I didn't cut back at all. In fact, it was the polar opposite. Because this economy created a whole new gig for me. I've actually produced good God, it must have been 12 or 13 videos.
I was going to say, you were talking like you had a dozen.
I had a lot
in the past couple of weeks,
and I was just cranking out these videos for this real estate agency because nobody wants to go and visit other people's house because they're afraid that they might have had the coronavirus, right? So I'm like, I'll go. So I go in there and I record, and then I edit, do the color correction, put some nice audio into the background, and Ashley does a little voiceover, and then I hand it's like a 2 or 3 minute video. It's real simple, and it creates a video for people to go and look at the house rather than go to the house. And yes,
Mm-hmm.
you get a different experience going and actually physically looking at the house, but you'll almost immediately know whether or not you want to look at the house based off of a 2-minute video, right?
Yeah.
So there's a market for that. So this month I made money off of that while, everybody else is sitting at home and sad with, coronavirus.
We're all gonna die and
thumb up their butt. And I'm like, no, I'm going to make this work. Let's make some money.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing.
Awesome. I decided I wanted to help others. Well, I've been cooking a lot, and I decided to make videos out of it. I kind of just did it off the whim last night. It was nothing planned. That's why the sound kind of sucked. I just was like, you know what? While I'm sitting there cooking, let me just shoot a video real quick. And I thought it was gonna be great. I might do more. Called it diabetic dining.
Make sure you spell dining correct this time, not dinning.
Yeah.
But it's a great idea, and you should run with it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Weight loss is going great, even though I get prosecuted and get the evil eye from other people.
Now that being said, though, you should probably expound upon that a little bit and actually explain why you're doing diabetic dining, because you haven't said anything about that, have you?
Yeah, remember on the last one, Redtired, before this whole.
So if you didn't hear the last podcast, Jacob is a diabetic.
Type 2.
Type 2 diabetes, so it's totally manageable. And you've lost, around 30 pounds now?
Yep,
just changing the way you eat, different foods.
Not starving myself. I'm not skipping meals. As a matter of fact, I'm eating a little bit more, but I'm eating the correct things now. Yep. I pretty much limit carbs to 30 to 40 per meal. I'm not doing the whole keto 20 carbs a day. I can't do that. I need the brain power. Other than that, I wouldn't be focused. So doing that is pretty fun. And finding ways how to get these flavors without sugar, which is great. And if I do have to use sugar, I use sub the sugar a little bit with other ingredients, or if I do use sugar, I use it at a respectable amount to the point that I'm not overdoing it. I always try to keep it under 40. That would be the max threshold. If I do go a little heavier, I make sure it's spread out or it's carried by other proteins or other, minerals and stuff that our body needs. It's not just plain like, oh, I'm eating ice cream and there's nothing valuable out of it. So I make sure that the meal is healthy.
Yeah. And it's been kind of an eye opener though.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen some of the pictures that you've posted with the different types of foods, and it's all good quality stuff, except for shrimp.
And I try to keep protein heavy. Still grains. If I do eat like carbs, it'll be like a minimum. I did eat rice for the first time a few days ago, and it was only like not even half a cup.
Mm-hmm.
I try to stay away from the fillers. The bread, if I eat a bread, it's one slice. I don't eat like a full 2 slices of bread sandwich. I try to keep it. If I'm going to eat a sandwich, I'll throw ham in the salad, with some vinaigrette, oil. So
nice. Bill, what about you? What have you been doing besides breathing into your microphone?
Well, I've just been mostly focusing on schoolwork. I have my day. I've always kind of been pretty good on trying to set time frames. So I usually, on an average day, if it goes the way I want to, I wake up at 8 o'clock, do some stretches, yoga for 15 minutes, go run either just under a mile or a mile and a quarter. Come in, eat breakfast, drink some coffee, social. By 10 o'clock, I am showered and doing schoolwork. By noon, I'm done. I'm eating lunch. And from noon to dinner, it's completely open. Just kind of like it works out really great for me. Tuesdays.
You should join me on Elder Scrolls then, basically.
What man? I don't want to play that game. All right,
no.
But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have a 2 o'clock lecture, so I'll kind of show up on that. But I kind of just put on my earphones, listen to the lecture, and play my video games. But
what have you been playing? Come on.
Borderlands 3. All right. I'm trying to expand on my exercise here. I just started.
Bill actually went and bought a bunch of video games for the COVID crisis. He bought beer, potato chips, and video games.
I cut the chips out and I went to low fat beer because I'm like, I'm not going to
Low
stop drinking
fat
beer. Or you know what I'm saying, like a lower, not as
lower calorie beer.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah. For beer, you know, I'm like,
How
I'm
much
not going to
fat
stop
is in
drinking
beer?
But when I play my video games in the afternoon, because it's about the only thing I could do, I finally decided, I'm like, you know what, I'm going to try to get some more exercise out. So the beginning of this week, I started doing breaking out my days into push-ups, crunches, and squats. And so today's a push-up day. So every time I'm playing the game for 3 hours, every time I fast travel, go to a vendor, enter a new level, complete a mission, or die, 10 push-ups. Boom, 10 push-ups. First day I did like 150 push-ups. I had to switch to Air Force push-ups. I was dead. Yesterday, I did 202 squats over 3 hours. The other day I did like 250 crunches. Still tweaking on it, working at, but it's something I used to do in the Army just to get better at push-ups. But I'm just kind of adding parts of it. Maybe by next month I'll expand it. But that's just me trying to stay active when I'm just playing video games. Doesn't sound like much, but it's just I can't go to the gym. Yeah,
Bill, you've finally taken my advice and done some freaking push-ups.
So what have you been doing now that you've been out of the gym, Jeremy, and you can't go to the gym?
Oh, I'm bored out of my skull with not being able to go to the gym. But so to still stay limber and things, just kind of keep the back aligned and all that. I've got these wooden dowels that basically the homeowner left it. When we moved away, he left, and there's these just big wooden dowels that they had, and so I use them to realign my my spine. You can do this in kind of like a clean and press movement where they're holding the bar. It's like an Olympic lift. They're holding the bar over their head and then they squat down. What that does is it realigns a bunch of the muscles in the body. So even though I'm not really physically active right now because of the lack of gym and lack of equipment, I'm still able to get those movements in and stay limber. So my back's not like seizing up or anything like that, because that does happen with the injuries that I've had, or knees or all bent out of whack or whatever. Like you can alleviate all that stuff just by using a wooden dowel and doing like a press movement. It's real simple. So that's all I do to stay physically.
Are you a Rocket League champ yet?
No, but I'm getting better.
Nerd.
My brother got me into Rocket League. It was like it's really fun. It is a surprisingly fun game. I'm highly surprised by how fun it actually is.
And I'm glad these video game companies are finally letting the loose on some of this content for free for all of us that are stuck at home and have nothing else better to do.
Yeah, DLC is the devil.
Yeah, it's all right if it's like 50 cents.
Not worth it.
Sure, we'll go with that. Cause I already know
what
what's going.
DLC do you know that's 50 cents, Bill?
No. If it's worth, nothing is worth. None of the DLC is worth 50 cents. But if it was worth it, I'd be like, oh, okay, I could. That's okay with me, But no DLC I've ran into.
Oh my God, we had a huge argument over freaking GameStop the other night.
Nope. We're gonna stop you right there. No,
yeah, because you're
gonna go into it.
And that's another business. I'm wondering how they're gonna change their platform.
No, GameStop is screwed.
Are they gonna accept trade-ins anymore?
I don't know. Do they still accept trade-ins? Because I stopped going to GameStop years ago.
Yeah.
No, they still. Well, now that COVID, they closed all their stores and all they do is online pickup. But when all this crisis is blown over and they finally open their doors again, I wonder now, because of this threat, are they going to be able to accept trade-ins? And if so, that might hurt their business platform. Same with Best Buy, all these other companies that take in video game trade-ins. Especially now when you got the holiday season and next gen consoles coming out later this year in the fourth and third quarter. Like, what are they going to do if they can't accept trade-ins? Especially, you have consumers are like, well, the PS5 will play PS4 games. I don't need this anymore. Same with the Xbox.
I think Jeremy's right. GameStop is just overall as a business. I told him to tell me whenever he thinks it's about to cave in, because I'm going to go in there and I'll buy like all like the classic games for like really super cheap, because I did that when they got rid of PS2 games and they just had them in CD sleeves for like $1. And I was like, you're just selling these for $1, man? It's a PS2 game.
Yeah, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. I mean, you look at their company, Like, you just look at their stock. You look at all of their, their financials. They're a company that's based on ripping people off because their trade-ins are crap. Like, oh, you paid $60 for this game. Well, we'll give you $5 credit for it.
That's why I
And then they'll
stopped trading
turn
in
around
games.
and sell it for $55 to the next sucker that walks in the door. Their business model is garbage. People understand that. People know it, and people are not generally stupid. And so they're going to say, I just don't feel like getting screwed over by GameStop today, so I'm just going to stop buying GameStop games. And so, and this is where the argument that Bill and I actually had was, this is where the whole thing started, is because I said GameStop is doomed, and because they're going to get replaced, and my estimation was Bill said, well, who's going to replace them? There's nobody like them. I said Steam.
Well, you got the platforms
has already replaced them.
Yeah,
and then you've got
for the PC, and then you have the
Ubisoft,
PlayStation.
And then Rockstar Games, they're all developing their own platforms.
Jesus.
It's just like Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu and all those. They've all got their own platform that they're forcing down people's throats. And
same with PlayStation, and Nintendo just launched a new platform last year.
There you go.
Sold their classics.
And I'm like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to do it.
I wish PlayStation Network would sell the classics. Just sell them to me. They have it they have the classics on PlayStation, but it's like Netflix. You have to pay a subscription to play it. And I was like, that's dumb. That's dumb. If you just
subscription based, that's dumb.
If you had it where it was just like you get a digital copy of a PS3 game or PS2 game that you can play on your PS4 for a couple bucks, boom, you can play it. There you go. I'll be like, here's my wallet,
They'd make a lot more money if they would take all those classics and group them into a chunk, you pay $100 and you get 20 or 30 of the classic games or 40 of the classic games. Like, people would jump all over that. But see, here's the thing. People know that they can emulate those games for free. So you have to really make it a convenience factor. You almost give it away anyway, so you might as well go ahead and just kind of give it away. Sorry. Kind of give it away, but not really. All right, we'll charge you $1 for some of the classic games because it's not going to cost them $1 to put it out.
Yeah.
No.
Just a
and another great thing is you asked who's going to replace GameStop. You still got the parent companies that have the rights to sell it. When I pre-ordered Final Fantasy VII, the remake, I ordered it directly from Square Enix.
Yeah, you didn't
just cut the middleman out, everything. I just went straight to the source. Hey, I know you're going to have the game in stock. Let me order it straight from you.
Now, Bill made a very good point when we had this discussion, though. GameStop,
oh, by the way, before I forget, the Final Fantasy VII did come out today.
Great. So Bill had a point that interrupt me. Bill had a point that when we were having this little discussion, he actually did make a good point that GameStop is not they're hedging their revenue with secondary sources, the tangible figurines and things like
the
that.
The pops, the vinyls. Yeah, you understand, Jacob. Yeah.
Go with your point. Pops, Tell me what your point
was. The vinyls. The pops, the vinyls, the T-shirts, all that memorabilia that you can't here in San Angelo, I can't get anywhere else, And so, your argument was Steam's replaced them, and then I just was like, well, it's not completely replaced them because they have this physical, this cool. I don't have all my nerdy stuff's packed up. Of course, all my nerdy stuff's packed up when we finally talk about this.
Yeah.
But all this cool collectible action figures, limited time edition, GameStop exclusive stuff. That was my argument. I was like, so that's why I was like, Steam's going to replace the games, but the memorabilia stuff, I don't think they'll be able to replace that.
So, but with that, there will be a niche. So that store that we have here in Abilene, there in the mall, that nerdy store that you like to go to.
Oh yeah.
See, that's a total niche thing right there. They're not solely focused on the games with the memorabilia as secondary stuff. They're like, no, we just have nerdy stuff. This is what we do. And
Nerds.
So by GameStop, being shut down or going out of business, it opens up the possibility for mom and pop shops like that to actually provide those types of things. I went, wow.
Yeah.
That was weird.
One thing I would agree is GameStop. I would start going back to GameStop if two things happen. Get rid of the trading thing. That's pointless.
Yeah.
Especially if you're going to rip off people. And other thing, I think 50 stores are testing this. I remember reading this last year around the third quarter, is that they were now selling comic books.
Yeah, I think I've seen that too.
Yeah.
I think I saw that they were gonna try
Now,
that.
I would go back, and this is the third thing I forgot I wanted to mention. I will go back to GameStop if they go back to like some of these niche stores that I saw in San Antonio, is arcades.
Where like they have like back old
Like
school
if they
Walmart.
had like no,
game.
not like the arcades, like the old school ones, but like the newer ones that you see in like, because arcading is huge in Japan and Korea.
Okay.
People still love to go to arcades. So bring in those kind of games. People love playing Tekken, and don't charge for it. It's, don't let them sample the game. And then from there, you can be like, you know what, this is the same game. You can buy it, for your PS4 or whatever, and just have have multiple of them. Like, I'm just using Tekken as an example, but like, other video games that like you will find in an arcade that's fun, and not give them the third eye and like, well, you always remember that old saying when you're reading a comic book, well, this is not a library kind of look, either buy it or get out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's rude.
The arcades have died. Have you been to an arcade lately?
Yes, I have.
There's
actually one here, and there's one in San Antonio that I love, because you pay $10. The guy, the owner, he stands behind in front of it. You pay $10. You walk in, and you play these amazing games in a comfortable reclining chair.
See, that's a totally different style of arcade than what we were brought up with.
Yeah.
But because when I was growing up, I remember putting coins into the machine. It was 25 cents a play, and you could stretch,
and you put it on the window
$5.
saying that you're playing next. Regardless.
Yeah, I remember all that stuff. Then you could stretch $5 a long way, and the arcades were booming. If you go in an arcade today, it's like $3 for a game of what's the hockey. What was
air
it?
hockey.
Table hockey, air hockey. Yeah, I'm like $3 to play air hockey. Are you kidding me? Forget it. Like
I'll save up a year and I'll buy my own air hockey table.
No kidding.
I remember,
$3 a game. Come on.
I remember when I got out of the army, like when I first got out of the army in 2012 or something like that, and we were in San Angelo or someplace like that, and there's a Mr. Gaddy's, and my mom and dad were like, "Where do you want to go eat?" And I was like, "Man, I want to go to Mr. Gaddy's. I haven't been there in a long time. Some pizza. We'll go hit up the arcade." And I was like, "Sure, why not? Whatever." And so we went there, ate some pizza, and I was like, "I'm gonna go to the arcade." Went in the arcade, and I was like, "This is it." Me and my dad are like, "Oh my god, this is not nearly as cool as it used to be, man! Like, where is everything?" It was like really just sad.
Yeah,
like, let's just
they've
go
gotten
home.
horrible. Gentlemen, as much fun as we're having doing this, we got to wrap it up.
Yeah.
You know what that means, right, Bill?
It's quarantine life. It sucks.
It's time for Bill to get
quarantine.
back to video games and doing some fast travel so he can knock out some freaking push-ups.
Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.